I guess I'm going to put together a trio of build videos coming up right away. I'll probably have them split into three different videos, but as it stands, how people have been getting a hold of me is joining the Discord and going to build sharing and giving me their builds this way. And I've been trying to tell people that if they want some help with a build, to come here, share the build that way, and this will be the best way for me to keep it all organized. If anybody else has reached out to me, I do not have access to the build or don't have it anymore. This is the only way how I can keep it all in one spot, and if you want it, that is the place to go and do it. And yeah, everybody's welcome. It's a pretty good community. I'm looking forward to helping out. But for now, let's get to it. We got three builds to go over. Right now, we're doing. We got to click this off here. Well, it's not Tripolar Bear. I got somebody's in here. Oh, Mondo, that's who it is. Okay, so we're going to take a look at your character here. So some weird things that he let me know is that it's only showing 2162 on his chest, but it's actually 2409. So we'll keep that in mind, and he's got 4025 energy shield. He doesn't want to switch off, which is completely fine. We're going to do this as an evasion-based one. But we'll go over the skills first, then the equipment, and then the tree, and see how we can make things better. So first off with Ice Strike, he's got Martial Tempo, Inspiration, and because he doesn't have Elemental Invocation or any cast on Shock or cast on Crit, anything like that, Inspiration makes the most sense to be on Ice Strike, so it's good. Concentrate Effect and Close Combat. Close Combat probably is still quite a bit of mana cost onto it. Like, it's a good skill, it makes a lot of sense on Ice Strike. I just currently believe that it would be better on Tempest Bell, and Tempest Bell you have set up Soul Thief, Rage, Font of Rage, Overabundance. You have it set up to be a support skill to buff your Ice Strike and Charge Staff, because your Charge Staff has Primal Armament, Rising Tempest, Persistence, and Coursing Currents. I personally like Charge Staff as a utility thing because none of this adds to the damage that you'll add onto your weapon itself, physical weapon. Uh, the buff is a flat buff, and the damage that you get from this is to the shockwaves. The shockwaves are really, really, really good, but yeah, you're not even a charge stacking build, so there's no reason to worry about this for the damage. It's entirely just utility. So I'd say swap the way you have charge staff and tempest bell set up. Here you go, kitty. He's been rubbing against my legs here. He wanted attention. Oh, here's the kitty for the camera. And so, yeah, I definitely say swap Charge Shaft Tempest Spell, because it's just not doing enough on here, whereas Tempest Spell, if you stack it for damage, it will do all the utility stuff you need. It'll freeze, it'll shock, it'll everything. It's a crazy good skill. Just pump damage on it. Like, I'd say swap the Primal Armaments onto Ice Strike over Close Combat, put Close Combat onto Tempest Spell. I really like that setup. If you need the Rage, I'd say put... You'll lose uh, Font of Rage if you did the entire switch. You could probably leave it on yourself. This is a good one to have if you don't have any other Rage Gen. Keeps that up versus bosses pretty well. So I don't think Rage itself works on Charged Staff, so you're probably going to have to lose that. But there's a lot of other options you could go. But yeah, I would say keep Font of Rage and Overabundance. Drop Soul Thief because you probably don't need the mana. Like, yeah, you're a physical staff, but I mean, we'll get to that. I don't think you need the physical staff at all. I think it's the improper choice because you have these gloves and you have this belt already. But yeah, Soul Thief for sure needs to go. Yeah, okay, so hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, you got 10 with the unset ring, so you're full up. And yeah, okay, so you don't have Avatar Meditate on there to throw it up. This is a full up set of skills because you got 9 normally. I had to check that earlier. So yeah, definitely I like coursing currents on charged staff, and I like persistence if you don't need something else like avatar. So this makes great sense on charged staff. These two are good, but Rising Tempest and Primal Armament would be better on Tempest Spell and Ice Strike respectively. And same thing, close combat on Tempest Spell, then drop Soul Thief and Rage for it. When you get your 6th slot for Ice Strike, put Rage in. You could even keep it with Inspiration if you don't need it for the damage that much. Just keep Concentrated Effect um, and Primal Armament, and then Martial Tempo, Rage, and Inspiration. There we go. That would be a better setup for your skills right now. It would do more damage, it would cost less, and I think you would get a lot of benefit out of it. Yes, if you take off close combat for Primal Armament, it'll go down in mana cost for sure, and then Tempest Bell will go up, but Bell you're not using as often. You're going to be spamming against bosses for sure, but without Elemental Invocation, you won't be popping it fast enough, so it'll be up for longer. Do probably less damage than what you've seen in my videos, but it'll be doing a lot more than what you're doing currently. Blink with Ingenuity is great. Grim Feast, Herbalism, Precision, Clarity. I don't think Precision or Herbalism are really doing anything for you, unfortunately. Herbalism is okay for, like, this is recovery from life flasks and your CI. This Herbalism is literally doing nothing for you. It's just taking up 15 spirit for no reason. Precision is, it sounds good on paper, but you'll literally never miss when you have a big chunk of dexterity, like what the monk always stacks, just to be able to use this weapon. Like, I don't believe for a second it's actually 10 dex, so I think this weapon came in wrong. But yeah, I bet this is like the level 70 or 67, the long quarterstaff, that one. But yeah, some things just went in wrong. This guy is on PlayStation, so it is not easy to one for one import things, so it's probably just a misclick. But yeah, mana regen is the only one on Grim Feast that I think you actually need. You take these off, you got 25 more spirit to do other things with. Herald of Ice, you got Conduction, great. Magnified Effect, great. It's probably the best thing for Herald of Ice. Innervate, which is fantastic if you can get the shock damage, but the thing is, yeah, you're needing the Lightning Infusion for it right now to be able to shock, but it's also just completely destroying the damage, and it's all just because you got this physical staff. Unfortunately, these aren't really syncing up together just because you're rocking this staff, but you're also using the Hands of Wisdom in action. Drop this, and in a second, your damage will probably triple or quadruple, I'm gonna assume, especially with this belt. I gotta talk about that, but I gotta finish this first. Cold Infusion, fantastic. It'll actually make it freezing for Herald of Thunder, plus any bit of added damage you got. Ice Bite is fantastic because whenever it freezes with the with the lightning bolts coming down, it will give you that wonderful, wonderful 35% cold damage, making it more likely to freeze. More freeze buildup, making it easier. Very good. Long shot, helping you with the freezing. Again, this is fantastic. It to do lightning infusion. I think as soon as you swap this weapon, you could drop lightning infusion for uh, either one of these having long shot and ambush. Just one of them having one and the other having the other is fantastic. And the fact that you're going to have a smaller energy shield pool makes having Soul Thief even better. The one that gives you energy shield when you kill a shocked enemy. That will help a lot because you have less overcap going on, so you'll probably dip below that halfway point or dip below your normal maximum. Oh, I got kitty hair on my nose. And dealing with that will be super helpful because then every other Grim Feast will bring you up to overcap double very, very well. Combat Frenzy with Perfusion is nice. Wind Dancer, Blind, and Maim. These are very, very good, especially Blind on an evasion base because that helps you dodge their hits even more often. Like, this is probably the best thing on Wind Dancer for what you got. I spoke to him earlier and he said he puts on Grim Feast over one of the Heralds when he's bossing, which is fantastic. That is the best time for it. You can also use it when mapping, and if you're wanting to use it when mapping, like I imagine you don't want to drop Blink or Grim Feast when mapping, but Handed Chayula really isn't used at all when mapping, so it might be best there. If you're already willing to do a gem swap with the Heralds for because you're not using mana remnants. Unfortunately, the downside of an evasion build is you need Wind Dancer and Ghost Dance, and it takes up a lot of the very limited skill slots. Like Monk uses all the skill slots, and you're already rocking an unset ring too, so it's going to make it even tighter. Or you'll have even more leeway, but it's already tight. I had the same issue when I was evasion. It just takes a lot. Um, One thing that I think would be super helpful for you because you are evasion based, you're getting hit less often. You could drop Grim Feast entirely. I see in here you got 1 point on your evasion here. Go for meditate. Don't go for avatar for what you got, but go for meditate. You could get a weapon swap here with like life sprig wand for the levels, and then get a focus that gives you faster energy shield recharge, and then you will pop up super fast if you weapon swap and then use meditate, especially if you go into the tree with a weapon swap 2 set up specifically for recharge. That will help you a lot. You're already not getting hit enough for it to matter too much. You can actually use it in the downtime between, and then use Shock Siphon once you get room for it on one of your heralds to keep you topped up really high. I think that will be your best bet. But Hands of Chayula, like obviously first thing I'm seeing is 2 marks and Hypothermia with Stripped Away, which is exposure applied by supported skills has 30% increase in effect. Okay, so there's a lot wrong here. So Strip Away won't really actually do anything because with hypothermia here, this isn't exposure. This is just reducing the resistances with the curse. Exposure is something else. That's like lightning exposure, cold exposure, but you won't need it because I saw this earlier that you got the freezing nodes there. Exposure just reduces their elemental resistances. You don't need that at all. If you replace this with I think not magnified effect, heightened curse, the one that increases the effect of curse, that will do a lot. But on top of it, you can only have 1 mark at a time. You can't use 2 marks. So it even says right on here, lightning erupts on the corpse, does not use your weapon damage, instead uses its own. Uh, well, I can't check it there, but come on, when I click you, maybe? Come on, let me click you. What button do I need to press so that it stays on screen? Well, there we go. Oh no, it's stuck on Hand of Chayula. There. Mark. There we go. Limited 1 mark target. So marks are family of debuffs that apply powerful effects to a single enemy, usually limited duration. You can have multiple marked enemies at once, but each individual enemy can only have a single mark applied to them at once. And so since Hand of Chayula is only hitting 1 target, it's only applying the last one. So you're only ever applying Voltaic Mark. Voltaic Mark is great. I personally don't think you need it with Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice. It is really nice and it'll help you dash around. I think this is something that you could easily drop off your bar though, just because you are so strapped. Dropping Hand of Chayula for Ghost Dance and dropping Grim Feast for, honestly, I'm not even too sure right now, but there's a lot of skills that you can put in. Let me just check and see what kind of options. I mean, obviously mana remnants if you need it against bosses. Uh, what else could you do? You don't want the elemental invocation. I don't judge you for that at all. Charge infusion would be really nice, and also I can't think of the name right now, and it's bothering me. Overwhelming Presence. There we go. Overwhelming Presence lowers the elemental threshold of enemies around you. I think either of those would be better than rocking, unfortunately, Grim Feast and Hand of Chayula for you right now, because that way Ghost Dance would keep you topped up. Drop this one evasion rating. I know 20% evasion rating probably looks really nice, but Meditate will do a ton more for you if you're able to do that setup. If you don't want to, don't take Meditate. Still drop this node. Come for Avatar probably, but I really think you should swap over and go for crits. Drop this staff. Like I'll go over the gear right now. This staff, it needs to go, unfortunately. 9% attack speed, 1 to all melee skills is just not good. Even if this is a good base, 94% increased physical is really low. It doesn't have weapon elemental damage. This is It has a lot to go. This is not it. And even if you get like a tippy top, long quarterstaff, if you're using it with Hands of Wisdom in action, you should be doing some form of attribute stacking just to take advantage of how good these gloves are, and then to magnify the effect with the pillar. It will do wonders for you. And this Ingenuity belt, I confirmed, is not corrupted. It's only 53%. If you get even two divine in your pocket, I am like 99% confident you'll get a much better roll than 53, even with like two divine to slam onto it. It's going to be scary. It hurts. It sucks. I know. But you bought a non-corrupted one for the sake that you could bring it up, and it can be so much better than this with so little investment. I highly recommend hitting this until you hit at least 60, like 2, 63, which will probably take you minimal rolls. You may get unlucky, but this is something that is very much so something you can work on that will have an immediate and powerful effect on your character. Swap the weapon, increase the roll on the belt by hitting with a divine orb, and like I said, it might be a few. These boots are pretty low energy shield. They're really good resistances, and I know you want the rarity. I wouldn't want to lose the resistances. The 30 movement speed is nice, but you can get a lot more energy shield on them. Uh, Mine have 283 energy shield, and they are not at the tippy top, and that's with 30 move speed. You're probably not going to get that, but even if you got your boots up to say 200 energy shield, like that, I've already got a search in here for 250. Let's just change this to 225. Wow, if I can type. There we go. Give you some resistances. Let's even bring this up to like 50 weighted some. And you probably don't want to be too much slower, so let's keep this at 25 move speed. Okay, so for 8 exalts, you can have big resistances, 25 move speed, and a heck of a lot more energy shield. What's that, 100 more energy shield than what you're rocking right now? Yeah, like 113 more energy shield just on the boots itself. And this here you show you already have the increased armor evasion in there and you're only at 140. Like these can be upgraded so much massively higher for basically no cost. You don't need to worry about too much, just unfortunately I don't know how trade works on PlayStation, but you can get a much better set of boots for very cheap. Your ring here, I like that it has decent all attributes with a good all elemental resistances. You're jacking your lightning damage. This cold damage won't hurt you. Uh, and some really huge lightning res. This is a good ring. This is a very solid ring. I don't mind that at all. This will probably stick with you for a little while. It'll take you a little bit to find a replacement. This is probably going to cap your res really easily with the belt and making it better. Like, yeah, you could get a few different things, but for right now it's decent. And then conversely, this ring, yeah, it's a lot of rarity, and it's got some fire res, but it's got literally nothing else. This thing is hurting you really bad. The whole purpose of Ingenuity Belt is to maximize your rings, and this ring is about as bad as it can get for still making you want to hold on to it. Don't fall in love with rarity too hard. This 55% is like 75, 80 with this belt. So, yeah, just find anything with more resist some attributes because I'm highly suggesting hit more attributes to take advantage of the gloves and get the staff. Oh man, I can't recommend enough. Get a little bit of flat damage on there. Like if you could get some cold damage on for it to scale will help you immensely, and if it could get like a cold and lightning roll, that would be fantastic. But for right now, just get the cold roll. You will need it, but the cold damage roll, a little bit of resistances to keep you going because it looks like this here is how you're capping your res with everything else here also working towards resistances. But this ring needs to go. It needs to go just as bad as this weapon. This chest, like you said, is 2,409 evasion. That is probably monstrous with your Wind Dancer, and I know you're also using acrobatics, so probably you're going to keep that chest for a long time. It's a shame that the suffixes only has cold resistance, but if it's that high of evasion, you're not going to be moving it anytime soon. Uh, Now your helmet. Again, you went for the rarity for a suffix, which makes sense. Or is that prefix and suffix? You could get a lot more energy shield onto that as a base. It's doing good work. This one is much better than your boots, much better than this ring for sure. It's about on the same level as this ring. The helmet's decent. This one here you can keep for a bit, but it has room to grow, but it's helping. I wish it wasn't on a level 65 base, just like how oh no, those boots are on a good base. It's just they got really unfortunate rolls except for the move speed and rarity and resistances. But the rest of the prefixes suck, unfortunately. That's a low increase energy shield and the mana is not doing anything for you. But yeah, this helmet's solid. It's only got one bad mod. Yeah, keep that for a while. It's just a shame that it's on a bad base. If it's on a better base with those same stats, it'd be probably like 450% energy shield if it's on the higher level base, just because they scale up so fast and so hard. Well, maybe not 450, but definitely around 400 with those same mods. Let's see here. So 20% cold res, and you are 347 energy shield. So let us just check this cold res. Let's do with just cold res lightning. You said 347, so let's top it up to 400. Yeah, like it's a solid helmet. I'm just kind of curious how much it would cost you. It's so an upgrade for this would be like a couple div. So this is definitely the thing that you need to upgrade the least. You're doing good with this one. And your amulet is really, really nice with that increased evasion, energy shield, flat energy shield, good resistances. Yeah, this is solid. It's a shame you don't have attributes on it. It's a shame you don't have attributes really anywhere because that would help you so much. This is almost identical to the type of build I used to have. This was what I was rocking before. It was still able to kill +4 Zesht. It was still able to clear maps really fast, but I was popping to on death effects all the time, which is why I swapped away from evasion build. I know I was rocking protect me from harm, and you're doing acrobatics, so there's a chance that you're avoiding the on death effects and just not dying to them, which is wonderful. But I would still highly, highly, highly recommend swapping these boots and swapping this ring, swapping this weapon. Those things need to go. Divine this belt for sure. Drop Handed Chayula. Probably drop Grim Feast unless you get more energy shield through the boots. But Grim Feast might be doing work if you don't want to drop Meditate, which honestly I'm thinking you shouldn't at this point, or put on Meditate. It's probably just best to drop Handed Chayula to put on Wind Dancer. That's the only one that's worthwhile. And even then, Grim Feast might be doing the job of Wind Dancer. It's only for a bossing thing, really. Like, that's a minor thing now that I see how everything else is put together. I'm liking this a little bit more, but the comments I had for like swapping Tempest Spell and Charge Staff utility around holds, the comments about Herbalism Precision being useless holds, like I still agree with all my support gem things, but the only one I'm not really liking right now, unfortunately, is Handed Chayula because you have it set up so poorly. But that could be fixed really quick. If you really like Handed Chayula and want to keep it, I understand. Just like swapping off one of the heralds for a boss fight is a non-issue. But even getting like charge infusion or something like that would probably help you out as well on a boss fight. Because yeah, if you're already swapping, you might as well swap everything. Okay, so now with the tree here, uh, I was thinking Center My Enemies would be really, really good when you make some swaps around because you're not crit and there's no reason not to be with how good it is on Monk and how much you'd get just from having it. Uh, I like what you got up. Like you're like half attribute stacking, half not. So like your tree doesn't really mesh very well together, unfortunately. So first thing I'm seeing, escape velocity. Heck yeah, great skill, but you don't need this evasion node. Take this one off. Uh, and honestly, because you're evasion based, move the controlled metamorphosis from either here to here or here. Is this mid large or large? This is large. Okay, so there's a really big reason why I'm suggesting moving this one over. So I can't do these adjustments onto your tree. I have to put it onto mine. So here's controlled metamorphosis here. And oops, I did not mean to do that. I can't undo it. Whatever, doesn't matter. Edit jewel. Select controlled metamorphosis. Large ring. You can't do multiple large rings. Oh, because I didn't allocate this. There we go. So because you have a large, you have all these nodes here. The attack speed and knockback is okay, but you really, really don't need it. So I'm thinking this is a mid-large on here. Edit jewel to be large. You have two options. Move your jewel up here so you can get Wildstorm to take advantage of those gloves. You won't be able to get serrated edges because it's large, and you won't need manifold method. You could get first approach, which is really nice, but also not 100% necessary. It'll help you a lot with mapping, and depending on how you're doing, this might be wonderful. 50% crit chance on that weapon is already uh, 5. Well, if you get these nodes, which I think you should, is 5.5 crit chance, just base. You can't be blinded, which means, well, it doesn't really matter because you're not missing anyways. And then the increased damage with hits is really nice when they're on full life. This 80% increased damage with hits on full life is the same as what Killer Instinct used to be before it got fixed. It was bugged, it needed to be fixed. It's good that it's done. This here is an option, but I think something that'd be better for you is to put it right here. So that way you get one with the river, which gives you the defenses, which will buff your evasion, it'll buff your energy shield, it'll help you with freezing, and you'll get the stuns off on bosses too. It's quite nice. This is a really good spot for it. You'll still get serrated edges, which is really, really good. You should be able to get enhanced reflexes, which is fantastic for you, and then you don't need to path to it. You'll still be coming, I'll be suggesting coming down here later, but you get the increased dexterity and the evasion. This is something you're definitely going to want to get this way. I think this is better for your build. And then Coming Calamity, you can even get this just because you have it. 50% cold, 50% fire. It's not bad at all if it's just 1 point. Like, it's definitely not worth focusing on too much. Or 50% cold, 50% lightning, I should say. But yeah, it's definitely not worth focusing on if you had to spend 3 points to get there. But just for 1 point wonder, it's pretty nice. This is what I think you should do for your build. I think it'll add a lot. It'll give you the defenses, and it's going to save a ton of points. Because I'm looking at this, you have all these points in here for this attack speed that you don't need. This knockback, I don't even know why you're there. You'd want to be on this side for the freeze build-up. That's way better than the knockback. Yeah, I'd say drop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Put your controlled metamorphosis here and drop it here. You're already coming down this way, so instead you're going to move these down to here to get your bestial skin, and then you'll anoint or allot this with that ring. You won't get this one, but then you'll come back up and manually path through here. Get the dex and attack speed. It's worth it for you because you're already going to be there. It's a lot better that way. Drop reaching strike and all this. You won't need it. Like, this is a nice set of nodes, but you do not need the melee range. You do not need this little bit of damage. If you just swapped that one staff, it's going to be night and day difference right away. You'll probably not even go to this jewel for the time being because, like you said, you're willing to go down. You're probably gonna, yeah, you're gonna lose all these. There's a lot of things here. Like, you don't need this attack damage with slows. And this movement speed is kind of nice, but you don't need it as well. This extra 15% invasion, not worth it for you. Save all those points. Come down here. Come across like that. Move this jewel up here. Don't worry about this jewel. We're going to move it too. You're going to save all these points. You're going to come down, hit this jewel socket, and come down here because you're going to need it, like you said. If you have the gloves, which you already have, you need to get it. You need to get rings with a little bit more attributes. Like, this one's solid, but this one, oof. Change your boots for sure, and then it's going to be night and day difference. Uh, your jewels, oh, hits it, died. Your jewels, they are all partial jewels. Like this is just maximum energy, shield, freeze, build up, rage, elemental damage. I like the elemental damage rage ones, they're fine. But the mana on kill, energy shield, yeah, like unfortunately, you're not going to be doing much cold damage. And you have low energy shield, but you got great energy shield rolls until you have much better boots and some support for that energy shield. These aren't going to do as much for you as you're hoping, but like you don't even have triggered spells. You don't really care about freeze threshold. Like you're not showing, but you should have a thawing charm, and it'll take care of that for now. If you swap to crit, you won't need all of this here. It's not necessary at all. Uh, Hold on here. There we go. I just gotta put on this music to make sure that my headset doesn't die again, or at least I'll know when it does. Uh, these nodes are good for you for right now, but as soon as you drop the weapon for a much better one div or even just a couple exalt pillar, these won't be worth it at all. You'll save all these points. Oh, there's a lot of mesa points in here that you don't need to spend either. Like, these are great, the mindful awareness, but... Okay, so I'm just going to start from the start. Just a second, I'll snap back when I find something that I think will fit you a lot better and be a lot more helpful. Okay, I put together a table that I think would be, or skill tree that I think would be better for you. I think the way to go about this is to completely avoid all this area because these are all maximum energy shield specific. The 6% int is very nice, and this crit is very nice. These are just not needed when you have the pillar and the gloves, so this is not necessary at all, and it's a lot of points spent and a lot of points saved. So I've also cleaned this up a lot. You're not going to need the 5% lightning and 5% cold. You're not going to need the increased freeze build-up or chance of shock. Those are just completely overkill and not necessary at all. I got you into the crit area, keeping your resonance for your charges. Uh, and I cleaned this up a little bit because you took a bunch of these extra nodes that just really aren't that good. Came down here. This here is optional if you have enough crit chance, but it's just so much damage, it's worth it. I moved your controlled metamorphosis from here to here. Saved all these points to get one with the river because that's the only one that you really care about here. Grabbed serrated edges, grabbed enhanced reflexes to save a single point, not the biggest deal here, and then grabbed coming calamity. This isn't necessarily the most important that you could be doing because you could also, I mean, it's definitely what I'm recommending, but you also have the choice to take your large ring and to grab Wild Storm. You could get Way of the Wind for 50% increased energy shield and, or not energy shield, evasion. 25% increased evasion when you hit things, which is basically all the time, and grab this guy. Or if it'll lock, there we go. I don't understand why that is being such a pain, but whatever. Oh, because of max points, of course. Because you wouldn't have this or this with this jewel on. And you would probably change a few things around. I like it right here a lot better though. Like this is extra points that's just not needed. I would highly recommend putting it here. But it does give you the Way of the Wind and Wildstorm, which is nice. So I tried to keep this as close to your level as possible. You're at 118, I thought. Hold on, I think I got that wrong. Where's your build? Yeah, yours is showing 118 points. So yeah, I tried to keep this at the same. And if there's anything wrong with that, just take it out like this here would be the first 1 and 2 points to take out, probably like 3 maybe, just like, you know, keep your defenses before the supplemental damage. This one here is not important, it's just a really nice node to have. I swapped your tree to path down here and get all these, because like these are still decent nodes with 2% attack speed, 5 dex. It's just with the way that my tree is set up, I need to kind of put it here because I don't have enough points, but because you're evasion based, these are actually kind of nice to path through. They're just not nice to path through for me, so that's why I have to come this way. And yeah, I think this is going to save you a lot of points. This will be the best way. Come down, get all these crit nodes because they, like, you'll massively increase your damage. If you don't have a heroic tragedy with Verona, it's something to work towards. It will give you a lot of energy shield stacking. Unfortunately, you don't have the most base, so it's not as important for you. Like, honestly, this is highly, highly optional for the evasion based, but do not get the Allroth that gives intelligence to evasion. That is not good. Unfortunately, it just nukes your mana pool and makes it so you run out of mana constantly. Like, it's very, very difficult to keep up mana uptime with the Allroth Jewel. It looks good on paper for your build, but it's not. Then yeah, these are my jewels. Just replace yours whenever you have time. Come down here, get this. This is all that's really important. But the other thing is, because we're venturing away from all these crit nodes, I know I anoint Overwhelming Strike with the crit chance and the critical damage bonus and stun build up. You may need to anoint something else. You may need to anoint Vulgar Methods. It gives 10 strength, which is really nice. You lose low mana, but you gain 35% crit chance. This could shore up a lot of gaps that you have if you make this swap, if you're thinking that it's still not quite at 50 with the loss of critical exploit. Even though you get a few extra things, I think this here with getting serrated edges and anointing vulgar methods with the extra 10 strength might be the best for you. I think that might be absolutely fantastic. And it's also possible that it's worthwhile to drop Chaos Inoculation depending on the content you're doing, because without having the Verona Timeless Jewel in there, you're going to have a lot of strength to give you a lot of health. So if you get 300 strength, let's just say you get 200 strength, that's an extra 400 life that you're getting. It's quite nice. But even if you do go Chaos Inoculation, because it's, I mean, that a bunch of extra life will mean that you're taking chaos damage, but it'll also mean you're getting stunned a lot less, and it'll also mean that if your energy shield does pop, that you have a way to recover it. But just remember, if you take that, I am not 100% if it'll be better to go CI or not with your build because you have no life on your gear. It's going to be dicey one way or the other. You have a little bit of a lower pool, but with all that evasion, it might be worthwhile. I'd say that's something for you to test around. Let me know how it goes, but I'm not 100% if CI is the right go or not. It's definitely good, but I'm not 100% if that's the end all be all. So with what I have set up here, I think this will help you a lot. Your next level, you'd probably get Step Like Mist, make you a little bit faster, a little more mana, and more stats, which is really nice. And then after that, just try to shore up whatever gaps you have. If you want more evasion, more energy shield, there's this entire cluster here for a lot. This node kind of sucks, but I mean, it gives you more movement speed and gives you a little bit of recovery rate, but not a big deal. You could come down for this jewel, but when you're attribute stacking, this isn't too bad. Another thing is you could come here, grab this intelligence node, then come here for this jewel. Uh, I wouldn't even worry about this too much. This node might even... It's still really nice. No, I'd say keep this one for you as well. But yeah, I think this here will do wonders for you because it's a lot more cohesive. It gets rid of a lot of things that you don't need, like the essence of the mountain and the essence of the storm. You don't need those. I really think you're going to be better off going crit. I think this is going to help you immensely. And yeah, so you got a lot of gear issues to work with, you got a little bit of skill issues to work with, and you got a lot of changes to make on the Atlas or on the skill tree here. I do think vulgar methods will be the way to go. Get that out of the way. Go back to your character. You don't have anything on the Atlas, that's no worries. But yeah, jewels too. You really got to work on these jewels. They're a little bit rough. But other than that, this isn't your character at all. There we go. This is your character. Yeah, your jewels, you got a lot to work on there. Jewels is a big one, and when you put all that together, I think it'll help you immensely. I like what you got going on. I like the big evasion chest. I tried to make it work, but mine wasn't as big as yours. So, phrasing. I think you have some decent bones, but you're trying to do two builds at once, and it's making both of them worse. That is my thought process, and yeah, I hope this helps you. Yeah, and again, just drop this evasion and probably get Shall Rage. Definitely get Cinder My Enemies in there. Probably drop the Island of Thunder. Put all that together. I think you can do great. All right, that's all. Have a good one.